Hello and welcome to this edition of Pop and Scott Talk Baseball. I have to say I'm not in a good baseball mood. My team sucks right now, so but the rest of the league is fighting and playing ball still. So what you got for us today, Pop? Or how are you doing to start?
Well, I mean, my team stinks too. So it's Baltimore. The Orioles. They pitched the kid that they got in one of the trades, and they tried him out last night, and they only lost 11-3. Between the first, they scored 3 runs in the first inning. Gunnar hit a 3-run homer, and they didn't get another hit until the bottom of the ninth. Anyway, be that as it may. Ichiro Suzuki yesterday was honored at the Seattle game. He was inducted into their Hall of Fame, and they told him they were going to put a statue of him outside the stadium. He is probably one of the top 10 hitters of all time. Yeah. All time. There's no question. So he deserves it.
I think he's probably higher than that, but
it could be. But I mean, I'm just saying there's many great hitters, but team probably's top 5. But I mean, it's just he and Pete Rose are the 2 best contact people I've ever seen. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that because that was on the MLB this morning. I watched it, and they retired his number, and
well deserved. I mean,
the Cubs, they just can't cut a break. They lost one of their best pitchers for the year. We talked about that a few weeks ago. And then they traded for Michael Soroka. And in the first game he pitched, he went out the second inning, his right shoulder. So he's on IR. 2 innings. Kyle Schwarber is the first Philadelphia Philly to 40 home runs this early in the season. Let's see, what else have we got? Starting pitcher Grayson Rodriguez of the Orioles was in Double-A pitching a game rehab game, and his elbow started hurting again, so they did an MRI, and he's out for the year. It's not Tommy John surgery. They have to take out bone spur. There's a bone spur and bone chips in his elbow, and they have to remove all that and clean it up so that he won't pitch the rest of the year. Since June 15th, the Colorado Rockies and the Chicago White Sox don't have the worst record in baseball. That's held by the Washington Nationals, who are just plain awful. They played Milwaukee in a 3-game series and gave up 49 runs.
So not say too far behind that. They got one more game today with them. So
yeah, I mean, well, Milwaukee right now is the best team in baseball, at least on the field, the way they're playing. Yeah. It won't be at the end of the year, trust me. But they're really playing very well. Let's see, Tommy Edmonds of the Dodgers, he went out with the same ankle that he hurt earlier in the year, so he's out on IL. Jen Powell became the first female umpire in the major leagues yesterday for a doubleheader with the Marlins and the Braves. She was on first base and third base, and today she'll be behind the plate. So she got a standing ovation from the crowd in Atlanta yesterday, and I told Ruth, I said, let's see if she gets a standing ovation behind the plate when they think she missed her first call. Anyway, it was really nice. It was really cool.
That's good. I mean,
it is. It's wonderful. And they had a lot of women at the ballpark holding up signs thanking her for breaking the glass ceiling and all that stuff. Roman Anthony of the Boston Red Sox, the young outfielder, they gave him a 8-year extension for $130 million. See, that's what these teams, if they can sign some of these people early, don't let them get to free agency when the price goes up. That's any sport. Yeah. But a lot of times they won't take the money because they want to go to free agency, but he took the money. Cleveland.
I mean, and it sounds like a lot of money, sorry to interrupt, But when you do an 8-year deal, those last few years, you're getting them at a club bargain because if he keeps playing the way they're projecting him to play, he would be pushing more money at that point.
Exactly. And some of these teams, some of these people signing 10 and 11 years are signing for $300 million.
Yeah, and it's like you hear those numbers, but on it, like right now, Harper could probably make more on the open market than what his salary is, but it's guaranteed money. It's hard to say no to $300 million. I mean,
this is the way you have. People say, well, he could have waited and probably got more money. I'm sorry. If you can't arrange it, so you can't live off $180 million for the rest of your life, something's wrong with you.
Right.
You have big problems. Give the money to your wife. Tell her to take care of it.
Right.
Do something. But these guys that make these millions of dollars and then 5 years after they've retired, they're broke. I just don't get it anyway. That's just me. I know what I worked for all my life, and we're financially sound. And I mean, we're not millionaires, but we're financially sound. The Orioles, Ryan Mountcastle came off the IL and hit a home run in the first game back against the A's the other night. I saw that in the first inning. But Colton Cowser, the outfielder, went on the 7-day concussion list. He ran into the wall trying to make a catch. And Tyler O'Neill, another outfielder, went on the IL with inflammation in his right wrist. The Yankees lost Austin Slater, who they just traded for, a utility player. He's on the IL. They got him from the White Sox. He has a right hamstring injury. And yesterday, in the Old Timers game, Mariano Rivera tore his Achilles tendon. He's got to have surgery.
Oh, my gosh.
So, yeah, that happened in the Old Timers game yesterday. The Mets, as you say, they're just playing lousy. But anyway, Pete Alonso has hit his home run yesterday. He has 252, and he ties Darryl Strawberry for the all-time record on the Mets, and he did it in a lot fewer games. So he will hold the record here shortly. Let's see. That's about all the news I got. I got the standings and the wild card stuff because there's I just been watching the games and all the trades and everything's over with. But the only thing is who's staying healthy. When I go through the standings and the wild card, I want to talk about a couple of the individual teams because
that's what we want. Yep.
Yeah, and I've got a big favorite in the American League. The problem with baseball is you're not as old as I am, and I've seen a lot more games and a lot more seasons. But in baseball, it changes so quick. It changes. I mean, I can sit here and tell you something. We've got 7 more weeks of the regular season until the end of September. So you're sitting here going, oh, well, this team looks like they're going to do everything. Well, I said the same thing about Houston 3 weeks ago.
Right.
Now Houston's scrambling. They're playing 500 ball. I mentioned 2 weeks ago that the identical records of the Cleveland Indians and the Detroit Tigers, except that they were flipped. And the Detroit came back last year and made the wild card and made the playoffs. Cleveland is doing the same thing. As I said, it was the same thing. It was just a different. And the Tigers are scrambling, trying to win.
So this is my take on that. Is the bulk of the league is very similar. This is what baseball. They wanted it to be anybody can win. That's why they want the salary cap to bring some of those bigger teams back to the fold, and also to let some of those. You can't hold teams accountable if the rules are different from each team, and that's what they are right now, with how much each team brings in. So, if you make the same rules for all the teams, then you can sit there and go, okay, Pirates, you have to spend more money, but I get back to this. Teams are good 1 week, bad the next week. It's just the mediocrity of the whole league. The whole league is similar to each other pretty much, except for a few teams that have some powerhouses that you know is going to be there at the end. Everybody else is fighting, and it makes it fun. That means that most fans have something to root for. It makes the season,
at the beginning of the year,
whole season more fun.
At the beginning of the year, the top two teams to make the World Series were the Yankees and the Dodgers.
Right.
And both of them are scrambling.
Right.
And it's because of injuries. Injuries in any sport is the great equalizer. Injuries, a lot of times, the team that wins the championship in any sport is the team that's the healthiest.
Yeah.
And
because you can't stockpile players anymore. No team can.
Right.
It looked like the Dodgers were, but injuries still got to them, and players didn't perform the way we thought they were. That happens as well. So for various reasons, which we don't need to get into right now. But things happen. That's why you play the games. That's the saying. That's why you play the games. They're not played on paper. You told me that last week or week before.
All right, the standings. In the American League, Toronto has a 3-game lead on Boston and a 5.5-game lead on the Yankees. Detroit has a 5-game lead on Cleveland, and just a couple weeks ago it was 11. And they've got a 5-game lead on Cleveland. Cleveland is 20 and I think they're 20-8 in their last 28 games. And Houston has a half-game lead on Seattle. And Houston's scrambling. They're just scrambling. In the national,
said it last week. Seattle, look out for Seattle. They added a little bit. They filled in some gaps. They've been playing well consistently, and I think that's what's going to be the big thing. That's the word I was like, what team is going to be consistently playing well when the end of the season? We had the Diamondbacks a couple of years ago. We always have a team that comes out of nowhere because they're playing the best ball consistently. And right now it's the Brewers. So, that's
and then next week they might lose 5 in a row. That's the way it is.
But that's and you just need to see who's
playing. That's what makes it interesting.
Right.
In the National League, the Phillies have a 4.5-game lead on the Mets. In the Central, Milwaukee is up by 5 on the Cubs, and they've had the best record in baseball since the All-Star game. The Los Angeles Dodgers are up 3 games on San Diego, and they're getting their pitching back. The Dodgers are. They're getting healthy in the pitching staff. Their bullpen's still shaky, but they're getting their pitching back. If they ever start hitting like they should, look out. But we'll see. In the wild card, in the American League, Boston and Seattle are up by 2.5 over New York, and Cleveland is half game back of New York. Those are Texas is 2.5 back. And Texas is the team I picked to come out of the American League, but they just don't hit. And like last night, they lost to the Yankees. The Yankees hit a home run in the 8th inning, bottom of the 8th, and they won. But earlier in the game, Houston had the bases loaded and got 1 run on a walk and couldn't score because nobody could get a hit. So I don't think they're going to come. I mean, I have a weird reason for. I mean, I've got the World Series hat they had when they played. I got a weird. I root for Texas a lot because Johnny Oates, who I knew personally, was their manager for a while. And, he was just a great guy. Anyway, in the National League, the Cubs have a 2.5 game. They're 2.5 out. I mean, they're 2.5 up on the Padres, and the Padres are up 2 games over the Mets. And the Reds are 2.5 games behind the Mets. So those are the teams in the National League, in the wild card race. Now I'm going to go back. First of all, I'm going to talk about the National League. If they hit, the Philadelphia Phillies have the best team in the league. Their starting pitching is the best in the National League. No question. Their starting staff is the best in the National League. Their bullpen is shaky, but now they've got a closer. And the Phillies, to me, if anybody's going to make a run and beat the Dodgers out, it looks like it's going to. I thought it was going to be San Diego because of the bullpen help they got, and the bullpen is so important. But you got to score.
Right.
And after you get through the first 3 or 4 guys in the lineup, they don't score. So that's had the same problem last year. But so right now, the Phillies look like the team that can dislodge the Dodgers. But who knows? San Diego might make a run. To me, the National League it's harder for me to figure out what's going on in the National League because, like you said, there's so many teams that are pretty even. Miami is going back to playing 500 balls, so they've fallen out of the.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about staying consistent at the right time. We got another month and a half to see what happens. So
in the American League right now, if I had to, somebody told me you have to tell me who the best team in the American League is and who's going to win it all, I'd go Seattle. Seattle made some really smart trades. Finally, they traded for power, what they didn't have. Now they have the catchers, the best catcher in baseball. They got Naylor at first base, who's got some power. They got the third baseman they got from Arizona, who has already hit a couple of home runs for them. Who's got power, and Rodriguez, who the first half of the season doesn't do anything, but every year when August comes around, he goes nuts. So in the last week in July and yesterday, he hit 2 home runs. So that team right now looks like a juggernaut. Whether they can keep that up or not, son, I don't know, because they still Seattle. And sometimes, and I, I'm just going to say this. Sometimes it's the organization. It doesn't matter who you got. It's the organization. I've seen the Yankees win pennant after pennant, and they didn't have the best talent. But it was just the organization, and they get the right player at the right time to come in and put them over the hump. So I saw them do it. I've seen the Dodgers do it. So, and then sometimes I see teams like the poor Cubs, year after year after year, they threaten to win the pennant, and they figure out a way to lose 9 out of the last 10 games and not make it. It's just what they did. I've seen the Phillies do it. The Cardinals twice in my lifetime have beaten out the Phillies and the Cubs for the pennant in the National League when they were a million miles behind them at the All-Star break. But that's just the nature of the game. But right now, I'm telling you, Seattle, because Seattle's got really good pitching. That's never been their problem. But now they've got the power and they're hitting the ball, so we'll just wait and see. But I would not be surprised if the Phillies and the Seattle met in the World Series. Yeah. I really wouldn't.
And I mean,
although I've got to still kind of, if the Dodgers get all their pitching back and they start hitting again,
I want to see that stadium in a meaningful game with that fan base. That place will be rocking.
Who?
Seattle.
Oh yeah.
That stadium in a meaningful game would probably register on as an earthquake somewhere near equipment. That place will be rocking.
Well, their football stadium for the Seahawks is regarded as one of the top 2 or 3 loudest stadiums.
Yeah, 12 man. Yeah.
It's they're up there with Kansas City is having the loudest.
Yeah, well, the fandom up there for all their sports is just second.
Even college. They're even big on their college sports.
Right.
But Seattle, it'd be nice to see them get over the hump for a change. They always seem, that's why I call them the Chargers. They always seem to get close, but no cigar.
Right.
Yeah, and I was making fun of them, calling them the Chargers and everything. And I said, well, the Chargers will probably do something. I'm going to switch to football just for a second. And then I'm going to say, well, the Chargers might do something this year. And a lot of people picking them to beat Kansas City. So what happens? First week of training camp, they lose their left tackle for the year. So, I mean, they're done. I mean, you can just forget it. They're not going to do it.
Yeah, left tackle's probably one of your most important. Behind the quarterback.
The left tackle is the second most important player behind the quarterback because he protects the quarterback.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to Seattle though, they've got it all. If they can hit and score, and somebody said, well, I was talking about this in the mall the other day, walking in the mall, and I was talking about Seattle, and they said, well, they don't score much in that ballpark. I said, well, they don't play every game at home. And if you can win on the road, you're in good. You should have a winning record at home and play 50-50 on the road, and you're going to be in good shape.
Right.
That's been the rule. So I really like what I see from Philadelphia, and I like what I see from Seattle. But the Dodgers, of course, are the sleeping giant. And I mean, I'm not counting out the Yankees because they always figure out a way. If they get into playoffs, look out. Because one thing the Yankees do have is power. They can stroke some home runs, and they got the short.
And there's some teams that I'm still like. I've been saying it for years, especially with the expanded playoffs. You need two pitchers, and there's plenty of teams that have two pitchers and a decent bullpen, and they're going to make it in the playoffs. Right.
Milwaukee, the only reason I'm not Milwaukee's playing the best ball in both leagues right now, but I'm not picking Milwaukee up there because they do this every year. They do it every year, and then they get in the playoffs, and boom. I mean, it's they play good ball, but they're not as good as the guys they're playing.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. That's the old fun of it. We'll always see what's going to happen.
And I mean, you might have 3 playoff teams come out of the American League East.
Yeah.
Because the Central is 500 teams.
Yeah, I mean, and the team that's leading the East, you're not even really talking about, and that's Toronto. So
because you figure when they get to the playoffs, they'll play like Toronto. And
it's hockey season. They're not. Who cares?
Last year, I remember, last year, son, you picked Toronto to come out of the American League.
Right.
You picked them to win. You picked them to win the division, and you picked them to come out of the American League. And I thought that was a good pick because they have a solid team. They have good pitching. They got great hitting. They got decent speed. See, that's what Milwaukee has, guys and gals. Milwaukee is leading the National League in stolen bases. And that's not a small thing. When you get that extra base, that's a big thing. And another team in that division that I haven't talked much about is Cincinnati, and they do the same thing. They steal a lot of bases, but the problem with Cincinnati is they got no power.
Yeah, they play small ball in a small ball.
Yeah. And you don't know how that's gonna work. I mean, last night DeGrom was going great guns, and then he got bombed. So I mean, I'm still pulling for Texas because I picked them, but it was probably not a good idea. I mean,
right.
That's about all I got. I mean, your Mets just
they're imploding. They were up and down all year, and now they've played some good teams. And these are the playoff teams. If you can't beat them now, what do you think is going to happen in the playoffs?
If you can't beat Milwaukee in August, you're not going to beat them in October.
Right. And I mean, so now I'm reading why they didn't make some of the trades and make moves because they're keeping players. I feel like the owner we got wants to spend money, but he's kind of like Jerry Jones, where he falls in love with some players and he doesn't want to let go. Kind of like the way the Orioles are. And you have to make moves. You have to. You're not.
Well, I read about the Mets that they were in on the pitcher from San Diego, but they said it was just they were asking prices too high. Cease. And they said the asking price was too high, so that's why they didn't do it.
Sometimes you have to overpay to get. You have to, and yes, you might overpay, but if you think you got a chance to win, you have to overpay. And obviously, they don't think they're good enough. So, okay, we'll wait till next year. There used to be a team that was like that before. Wait till next year, and that played in New York, and we'll do the same thing. We'll wait till next year.
Well, I mean,
we don't play in Brooklyn, but we wear the colors. So
I don't think you're going to have to wait till next year. They're going to make the playoffs, and anybody that makes the playoffs,
has a chance.
They get a little hot. Who knows? You just.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If they start playing consistent,
right? Arizona. Who picked Arizona to go to the World Series 3 years ago?
Right. Yeah. And that was such a fun. Other than, and I'm not a Phillies fan. I just was at a Phillies house watching that game. I felt for them. It was heart wrenching, but to me, I was like, "Let's go Diamondbacks," But it's just that is fun to watch. I love to see that. It's, because that's what makes baseball such a great sport, team sport. Football is another great team sport. Baseball, yes, it's a lot of one-on-one matchups, but if you don't play as a team and come together, you're just not going to do it. You look at you talked about the Phillies. Well, by them getting a closer made their eighth inning that much stronger, their seventh inning that much stronger. Everybody moved down the line, so now not only is their ninth inning stronger, it made it stronger to get to the ninth inning.
Right.
And those types of things are kind of overlooked. We look at one player, but what does that player bring that helps the team? And that's overlooked a lot by just fans. I was at a sports show, card show. This is a card channel. Everybody knows I was at a show with 100,000 people, and to listen about what fans and people were mad that their team didn't do anything. I think some fans just want trades for the sake of trades, to bring some excitement to your team. And it just doesn't work that way. And so I'm okay with the Mets. I just wish they would come out and say, hey, this is our future, but they're not going to do that. They don't want to talk about that. So it's all speculation. What I hate is from preseason to now, all the speculation and trade rumors. I wish all of that would go away because you don't know what's used to be back in the day. You had like Buster Only telling you who was going to be traded. You can listen to that. Now it's just so much. It's hitting you from 8,000 different directions, especially if you're on social media like I am. It's bad. So everybody's got a thought and an idea.
Well, they can't trade anybody until the offseason, right?
Yeah, I don't think the way it used to be was a team can put a player on
waivers. They put them on waivers.
And they can
all the way through the waivers with no team picking him.
Yeah,
off the waiver wire, then they can trade him.
Trading, right? I don't think they have that. And then if somebody does pick him, you can take him off of waivers because
they used to do it. I don't see them doing it anymore.
I don't think they have that anymore. I'm not 100% sure. I'm sure some of
my changed it in the last CBA.
Yeah, and at CBA, I hear that like hockey CBA got already done before 2 years ahead of time. Baseball, it can't even. I can't. 2 years from now, we're probably will be watching minor league baseball, unless the minor leaguers, because they want to unionize, and if they sit out with the major leaguers, then I guess we'll be watching the women's softball in WNBA. So, but we'll be a WNBA channel that summer, I guess.
Yeah, that's fine with me. I'll talk about any sport. The only sport I really don't watch is the NBA. I mean,
right.
And I don't know much about. I don't know a whole lot about the Bundesliga soccer league.
Yeah, that all that confuses me. All the different leagues and who's in what. And I try to talk to a guy at work. I had two guys at work that love soccer, and my gosh. I think it's confusing.
This is Sunday, and so everybody's good. Well, but at 3:00 today, the Little League World Series for girls softball between Indiana and Pennsylvania is on at 3:00 on Channel 8. Now, y'all will see it tomorrow night, so it'll be over with by then. But I just thought I'd mention it. I've been watching a lot of that too. And the Little League their World Series starts this week.
Yeah,
they've had all the regionals and everything, and now their start this week. So that's great baseball and softball. I just love watching the kids.
They're so fundamentally sound. I mean, we used to see it in a couple of years ago, but now they're all just so fundamentally. It looks like mini major leaguers. Some of them are more fundamentally sound than the major leaguers.
Yeah, I noticed a couple of kids running the bases actually looking at the third base coach.
Yeah, I mean, they fielding ground balls, making angles, just knowing where to throw it when they get it, all that good stuff. So, the Mets are already up 2-0 in the top of the second. So we'll see how we lose this game. All right, Dan. Well, we're going to end it with that. The season's grinding to
Well,
the
my yogiism this week is the one about the pizza. When he went in and ordered a pizza, and the guy says, "You wanted 8 slices or 4?" And he said, "I wanted it in 4 because I don't think I can eat 8."
That's funny. So, all right, we'll end it with that. Please let us know what you're thinking. Let us know about the waiver wire. I know in years past it was there. I haven't heard anything this year or last year. I don't know. If anybody does, let us know, please. And let us know who you're picking for this end of the year, making a run. And till next time, subscribe if you haven't. Until next time, we will see ya.